Hey everybody, welcome back to the Unsung Podcast. Today we have a very, very special, different kind of episode with my new friend Brian. He's been a magician, Brian Scott, for over 30 years. Comes from the San Francisco Bay Area. And I saw some of his bits and stuff on TikTok. I'm like, oh, I gotta get this guy on. So here we are. Welcome to my little show here.
Hey Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. So 30 years, wow. So you must have started when you were five. I mean,
I started young. I start counting my time as a magician when I started performing. We'll call it professionally. When I started getting paid cash for doing someone's party. So I started when I was 12 years old. But I've been interested in it since I was about seven.
so what was the very first magic trick you learned? The card trick?
Oh man,
Something?
I've tried thinking about what's the very first magic trick that I actually learned, and it's hard to remember. Like it was probably something in a book that was probably a card trick. But the first trick that I really remember like seeing and wanting to learn, and then when I got old enough and was at a magic shop, I was like, oh no, I need to find this trick. And it was this trick where you have a little bag and an egg and you drop it in the bag and you make it disappear. Like that was the first thing that I can remember. I'm like, oh yeah, like I need to learn this. And it was also the first time that I bought something and I went, oh, that's it. But I still perform that in a lot of my shows. It hasn't yet made it onto TikTok or anything like that, but I am sure one of the bits with that trick will make it onto video in the very near future that people will be able to see.
I remember when I was younger, maybe in the late 80s, watching David Copperfield shows. And part of me wanted to be a magician just because I thought those girls were like his girlfriends and stuff. But I just wanted an assistant like that, you know?
Yeah, no, the 90s, the 80s magic shows on TV used a lot of sex to sell. So that is not surprising. I think a lot of people were had crushes on the assistants of those
Yeah.
shows.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. That and The Price is Right. That were my two shows watching. Wanted to be a magician or Bob Barker. I don't know. But mostly my show here is about mental health.
Yeah.
How has magic impacted your mental health? Both positive. I was actually doing some research on the most stressful positions in the world, and magician was like bottom of the list. Dentist was the number one most stressful. Magician was voted the less stressful position in the world.
I was gonna say it's not very stressful when you are doing it and you're doing it well and you're having fun. It can be stressful when you're trying new stuff out, right? And I will say, like for me, magic and my mental health, it's been a very interesting, relationship because I like to do magic for other people and I get to see how it has an effect on their health in mental health. And like I can bring joy to people, I can make people's days better. I've done a lot of work where I get to go into like hospitals and visit bedside with children in different places. And it really does make a huge difference, right? Like you can see people light up when they see something that is supposed to be impossible happening. And I'm sure there's people who have studied the effects of like when someone is facing something hard and they see something impossible that actually happens, it must give them a little bit of extra hope, right? Because they're dealing with something that's impossible. So I like to like look at it where I'm like, oh, I get to do these things that make people's days better. But it also for me, doing magic is the thing that I've always gravitated towards that is giving me the ability to do something that not everyone else does. And so it does something for me too. Like I remember when my parents first told my brother and I that they were going to be separating and getting a divorce.
Hmm.
I was in the middle of practicing a magic trick.
Oh boy.
And I just remember I was levitating a dollar bill at the kitchen table, and I just thought to myself, I got this. This is cool. All right, no problem. Right? Like for me, magic has always been that thing that when something kind of weird happens, I usually go and dive into my magic a little bit more. And it's I never thought of it as a way of dealing with mental health, but it, on like hindsight, when I look back at it, I'm like, oh wow, magic has been there for me in a lot of ways for a long time, and it's always made things a little bit easier. So it's like a two-way thing. It's like I get to help other people, and I've been able to help myself with it. It's like
Nice.
it's an escape. I know some people, and I know like you do a lot with music. People will go into their music hardcore, right? They'll disappear into it, playing it or just listening to it. And for me, that's magic. It's always been that thing where I kind of just dive into it, I disappear into it, and it's like, wow, this makes me feel really good. And it's a weird place where if I do a bad show, like if a show goes a little south, I come out of it feeling like, oh, magic has betrayed me today.
Mm.
But then there's like the next one, and and it makes me feel great because some kid comes up to me and tells me that they were struggling with something and it just made them happy, right? I just hearing someone say, "You made me happy today," or the mom that comes up and tells me, "Hey, my kid's autistic. They have never raised their hand for anything. They've never stood up in front of a crowd. They raised their hand, you picked on them, and they stood in front of this audience today, and I was amazed. Like my kid has never done that before." And like sometimes they're just beaming, sometimes they're crying, and that just I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I did not expect that responsibility today," right? Like it's not something I set out. I'm like, "Oh, that kid needs to come up." Something about the connection, like you just wind up picking the right people, and you just never know what that's going to have as an effect on somebody.
So you've done shows in front of kids, shows in front of adults.
Yeah.
What's the tougher crowd? Because I know I've been to magic shows with my daughter when she was like 6 or 7, and these kids, when they figure out how something's done, they're gonna let you know.
Yeah. It's a toss up. Different shows, it really depends on the makeup of the audience. Like during the summer, I do a lot of library programs. I do a lot of camps, like summer camps. And then I do a lot of fairs and festivals where there's families. And sometimes when you have a group of kids who are like really close and they're really tight and they've been together for at least a week or more, those shows are great, right? Like they've become a unit. But if you go in on the first day and these kids don't know each other, they're in that mode of like trying to prove to each other that they know something that the other person doesn't. And so those shows are really hard because they're like, nope, I can't let everyone else see a weakness that I thought that was cool. So it really depends, but other times like those are great. And then just with the same with the adults, sometimes you go and you're like, I've done shows just for adults. I'll do like the corporate event, and they're there to do something else. They're there to have drinks with their friends, and then now you're being thrown into the middle of it as a disruption. And if they've been drinking a lot,
No boy.
it is not the best show. I'm like, oh, this is not, okay. But then you can go into a place where someone brings you in as like a birthday party for maybe their 40th or 50th, and they've told all their friends that a magician's coming, that for them, magic is their thing. And if it's been prepped right, everyone's excited about it, and they're there to have the best time of their life. And you are the big event, right? And then those shows for the adults, it's amazing. Like even if they've had some drinks, it doesn't matter. It's like they are ready to have fun. They have given you permission to just kind of, you know, go into another realm with them. Like, okay, we're not sticking with reality. We're going into your imagination, and we're just going to do something fun and crazy. So it's hard to answer which one's the toughest, but I would say my favorite audience is family audiences where I have kids, adults together,
Mm.
and everyone's there to have a good time as a family. And I always say it's kind of like going to a Pixar movie. Pixar movies are written and designed in a way that it's really shooting for the child audience, but they're writing it also in a way that they know that the adults are in the room. They know that they're going to be watching this. And they're like, you know what? If there's no kids in the room, the adults are going to have a good time with this.
Yeah.
So I always try and think about that kind of arc of like, okay, I'm going to do stuff that everyone can enjoy. If it's all kids, I will change it a little bit. If it's all adults, I'll change it a little bit. But overall, we're just going to have fun with the same thing.
Nice. So what was do you remember one show when just when it was when everything one of those everything went wrong that could? Uh,
Yes, yes, indeed. This is, people always ask me, like, oh, does magic ever go wrong? You're like, yeah, magic can go really, really wrong. I've actually had two things that just were shows that I'm like, wow, okay, this this was bad. One was just a horrible show, and it was a lack of communication on my half and the client's half, where they hired me to come in and do a family day at a facility that they pitched it as um, an assisted living facility, where they're like, oh, we have residents here and all their families come and they all get together and we all watch a show. And I was like, oh, okay. What they failed to tell me was that it was a memory care unit.
oh,
And what they didn't say about the memory care unit was that it was all advanced cases of whatever the patient was dealing with. And so I set my show up. I'm ready for a family show. And there was a bunch of kids, and they roll people in on gurneys into the room. Everyone's in a lying down position. And then they have family members sitting alongside the beds. And not one single person that was a patient was cognitive. They couldn't communicate in any way, shape, or form with me. And most of them were in near comas.
wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. And like I'm like, I'm a magician, like I'm a funny guy. And everyone is kind of like next to the beds of these patients who are so close to the end of their life, and they're just like, everyone's just sitting there like as if it's the saddest day in the world. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? This is a horrible situation. No one told me this. No one said anything. And every trick that I tried doing, I'm like, oh, could I get this kid to come up? Could I get this mom to come over? And like trying to get different parts of the families to come in, and everyone just was like, no, we thought this was going to be, I think they thought it was going to be like a musician who was going to play music in the front, right? Like that was just going to be like mood enhancement while they visited their family member.
Yeah.
And I muscled through a 45-minute show, which is what they hired me for. And it was the hardest show I have ever done. And it was like the applause, the laughter, everything was like really low. And I was like, okay, thank you. And afterwards, I I asked the client, I'm like, oh, okay, do you have any feedback for me? I always like to ask for feedback. And they were like, well, we really would have appreciated more interaction with the patients. I was like, more interaction with the okay. So that was like pretty early in my career, and I learned very quickly, ask a lot of questions when setting something up. And if I'm going to a facility where anything is being used, that it's like, senior assisted living or anything, I ask, I'm like, okay, how many residents? Will the residents be mobile? Are they going to be in wheelchairs? Or are they going to be in beds? And like, it is giving me a lot to understand about how that works. And so that was like wrong and whatnot on that side. But the part that magic can go wrong, the story I like to tell on that one is in front of over 1,000 people in a theater that I was the closing act of a show that I helped produce that had, I think, 8 to 9 different magicians, performers. I was going to perform this big illusion where you take a box and you have someone get in it and you shove swords through the box. And at the time, my fiance was tied up, and she gets in the box and she gets covered in it, and the ropes are tied around her wrist so people know that she's not escaping through a trap door, and there's a cloth on the ground so they know there's no way for her to leave. And the ropes are held by 2 people on the stage, and I take the first sword and I shove it through. Went perfect. Spoiler alert, swords are real, the box is real, but they don't actually go through the person. That's the whole trick, right? Second sword went through the box, no problem. Third sword, I take it, and it's supposed. This is the one that, like in rehearsals, it's supposed to fly right through. It's the first one kind of goes in slow, second one goes a little bit faster, and the third one just like flies through. And I take it and I shove it, and it doesn't go anywhere but into the back of my fiance.
Oh my God.
I stabbed her in front of 1,000 people on stage, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, thankfully, they're solid swords. They're pointy swords, but they're not sharp swords
Yeah.
because, again, safety, right? You want to. And I just lean over the box because there's people on either side of her, and I say, "Are you okay?" And she just responds, "Keep going. I think I'm fine." But now everything is not what it's supposed to be. Like every sword is not where it's supposed to go because everything has now shifted where the magic's supposed to happen. So I did it a little bit slower and I basically had to like check in and we came up with on the fly kind of like a code of like, yep, good to go. And we finished the trick. The people who were on stage kind of knew something was amiss. The people in the audience had no clue. And we finished. We got a nice big round of applause. She walks backstage to get into the lineup for the final bows. And there's a person who was standing behind her, and she had kind of like a tank top kind of a shirt on. So her shoulder blade was exposed, and there is this massive welt that is turning purple by the minute. We finished the show. She was fine, you know, a little bruised, and she still married me. So we're actually celebrating our 23rd anniversary today.
Uh, I was just about to ask that. I didn't know if I should tread that carefully or not, but I gotta know, man, as someone that's been married and now divorced, did she ever bring that up and be like, remember that time you
Oh
stabbed me?
yeah. Oh yeah. We that was the last time we performed that for a very long time. And then about, I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, she was like, "Hey, listen, I have a client, and she's a public health consultant, and she had a client who hired her to do a facilitation of a day-long retreat. And she was like, they hired me to do this retreat, and we're really talking about communications and different ways to kind of work as a team. And I was thinking it might be kind of fun to do some magic." And I was like, "Do you want to do the sword box again?" And she was like, "I think that would be great. Let's tell the story. Let's do the trick and talk about how it like really allowed us to do, you know, communication. Like you have to really trust someone and really work with them. And if something starts going wrong, how do you fix it on the fly?" So it wound up being something that we've used in a way different way. And it always makes for an interesting story. And she does every so often bring it up. Like, "Do you remember you stabbed me in the back?"
Wow, that's so she didn't get it wasn't punctured or anything. It was just a good blow.
Thankfully, no puncture. I mean, oh man, and it was one of those like, if it was lower, if I had gone faster, it could have done a lot more damage,
Wow.
right? Like if it was one of the ones on her lower back, but it was like shoulder blade, it was like right up the top. It's like if out of all the places it could have been, like there's one that goes really like right across the neck. Oh man, like wow, the things that could have gone really, really wrong on that, you know, oh, I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky. And that's the thing is like people think that magic is completely safe. Like, oh, you know, it's just an illusion. And they are. They're illusions, but they can go in many different directions.
Well, I mean, it's like wrestling, right? That's scripted. Those moves are
Yeah,
scripted, but you hit a guy the wrong way or hit a girl the wrong way, and all of a sudden she's got a torn quad or
absolutely. I mean,
whatever.
there's horror stories of magicians who have done illusions. It's like there's one couple that had an illusion where they both levitate up into the air, and something happened and she fell to the stage and she got paralyzed. Like it was a horrible accident. It's like, yeah, I mean, there are risks involved with all of those things. And I think that, in that stressful, like magicians aren't the least stressful position. I think it depends on where in the magic world you are. If you're doing stuff like levitations that you could fall and die, a little more stress on those things. But for
Well, maybe
me,
now I need to do a search about the magician assistants and see where that falls on the.
yeah, the magician's assistants, I think, are actually a little bit more of a dangerous position.
Um, do you ever go to watch other magicians live? Like, I mean, I know if my bucket list, I want to see Chris Angel. I think that guy's crazy, the stuff he does. Um,
Yeah, I go and see a lot of magic shows. I watch all the TV shows. Just part of it is because the more you know what's going on in the mediums that people are seeing magic. So the more I see on TV, the more I see on TikTok, the more I see on Instagram, I understand now when I'm doing a live show what people's expectations might be. And if I bring out a prop, they might have an expectation of what that prop's going to do. Like, oh, a Rubik's Cube. I've seen this before. And the chances are they haven't seen the exact thing that I'm going to do because there's so many variations. It's like I bring out a piece of rope and people are like, I know this one. And kids say that a lot. Like they'll say, I know this one. And they're not saying, I know this, don't do it. They're saying, I know, and I want to see it again often. But even then, there's 1,000 different tricks you can do with a piece of rope. There's a million different combinations of card tricks. So like to say, oh, I know this one is kind of funny because you're like, you have no clue where I'm going with this. You have zero. But then there are some props where you pull it out and you're like, oh, if they say they know this one, they know exactly what's going to happen because they've seen the prop before. But I probably go to a handful of magic shows that are like for the public that I buy a ticket for and I go to it a handful of times a year. And then when I'm in Vegas, I usually go for a conference once a year, sometimes twice. And then there you see performers at the conference performing, in the evenings and the afternoons. Like there's always these shows. And I probably see 20 or 30 different magicians perform at those events. So, I'm constantly looking at magic and watching it myself.
I was not aware there was a magicians conference. That's
Oh yeah, there's actually a lot of magicians conferences.
yeah.
The one that I go to happens to be one of the larger ones. There's about 1,600 magicians that get together every August in Las Vegas.
Huh. Do you think those guys ever sneak in and try and count cards or show the dealers some card tricks? Like, hey,
There are a few guys that probably are cheating and doing some nefarious things. Never at the hotel that we're staying at because those guys are like, oh, we have 1,600 magicians. We're watching for things a little bit closer.
yeah.
But they're definitely there's people who know exactly how to do a cheat or two.
Wasn't that in that movie with the oh I can't remember the name of it, the magician that disappeared, something in Vegas?
Oh, now you see no.
Yeah.
Now
Now
you
you
see me?
see
Is that
it
the
or
name
now
of
you
it?
see me?
Yeah.
That was a crazy one as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so if you're down, if there's anything we can do as a little performance on here, I'd love.
Absolutely. First of all, let's start off with something kind of simple. I'm going to start off with a kind of an imagination-based thing. I want you to pretend that I have a deck of cards in my hand. Okay.
Okay.
What I'm going to do, and you're just going to have to kind of like play along with me here for a second. I'm going to pass these through the screen to you. Okay. So go ahead and I'm going to reach out. I want you to take those from me. And now you have them. You have a deck of cards in your hand. Now the deck is in a box. So first thing you have to do is open the box. Okay.
Okay.
And I want you to take the cards out. Excellent. Shuffle them up. Shuffle them up. This is where we're going to do a card trick through the screen. And really make sure you look through the cards. And I want you to think of one of the cards. But I don't want you to, when I say to think of a card, people always think of like one of three cards. They think of like the Queen of Hearts. They think of the Ace of Diamonds, or they'll think of like the Three of Clubs. I don't want you to think like that. So we're going to actually break this down into three sections. First, I want you to think of a number between 1 and 10. Okay? Now, don't say anything quite yet, but do you have a card, a number between 1 and 10?
I do.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I have a deck of cards over here that is an actual deck of cards. I want you to just to say the number that you're thinking of.
7.
7. Okay. Are you sure you want to stick with that? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you go online later, you're going to see that statistically, people will say 7 like 75% of the time. Now, if you want, you can stay with 7, and therefore you are actually sticking with that number, and that lowers the percentage because you're actually having the chance to change your mind. Or you can change your mind right now from that number 7. I just want to make sure you have the option to change, because I don't want you to think like, oh, well, he just played the odds.
I'll change it to 5.
5. Okay. I like it. You changed it to 5. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to really think about that 5. Like, picture it in your mind, okay? And I want you to have a card in your fingertips right now. Look at the card in your fingertips and picture that as a 5. Like, okay, right now you actually see a 5. What color is that 5?
Black.
It's black. Okay, so right now you have a black 5. You have to put a design next to it. So I want you to think of either a club or a spade. Really picture that in your mind and imagine it on the card in your hand. Okay? All right, you got it? Perfect. So what is it? The 5 of what?
It's a 5 club.
5 of clubs. Take that 5 of clubs, and I want you to, and this is going to be tricky. You're going to have the deck of cards in your hand over here. You're going to have the 5 of, you said clubs, in your hand over here. You're going to toss it up and catch it into the deck.
Okay.
Okay? Go for it. You got it.
We're good.
5 of clubs in the deck.
Yeah.
Take the deck, place it in the box. And I want you to now push that box through the screen and actually see it as if it's going into my box.
Okay.
Excellent.
Oh, I
Perfect.
disappeared there for a second.
Now, you did disappear for a second. Now, I've been holding this box the entire time. I'm going to open this up very slowly, and I'm going to try and see if you can see something about the cards that you just did. Because when you put that card back into the deck, you just kind of threw it up into the air, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what you didn't realize is that you didn't really pay attention to where it was going, and you didn't see that the card was actually going in backwards. I know this seems really bizarre. There's no way that I could be all the way over here with a deck of cards, and I held it in front of the screen the entire time. But you took one card, the 5 of clubs. You really imagined it in your imagination, and that is exactly what I have over here.
Wow.
So that is something that I love doing stuff like that. And back when the pandemic hit, I did a lot of magic like that on the screen. I did a lot of magic where people were, interacting through the screen and doing things. And then there was things that I would do that were a little different. I can do another thing for you if you'd like. And this is the thing that you saw a portion of on TikTok. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know to just watch that. Like, we didn't script this.
No, yeah, we did. No planning. That was
My mind is actually
Dave is legitimately like, no, guys, you have to understand, my brain is fried right now.
I need to take a second. But yeah, let's.
So I'm going to do something here. We're going to do a little art and crafts through the screen, which is a little difficult. But I'm going to use a whiteboard here that I've had my name written on. And what you're going to do is you're going to help me draw a picture, okay? And I'm going to try my best to do this where unfortunately, all the screens in my office and the lights do a lot of glare on this. So I'm going to try my best to do it where I'm not getting the glare. If you all of a sudden see that there's a huge glare on the screen, please let me know. This is going to be really easy. It's going to be really simple. We're going to draw a simple face, okay? Now, Dave, what is the first object that I'm going to draw for the face? Now, I'm telling you right now, people, you can come up with any design. I will try my best to do the most accurate drawing of what you tell me to do. I am not an artist. I am a magician, but we're going to try this, okay? What's the first object I should draw for a face?
Let's do a chin.
Well, a chin. All right. So first things first. The actual head, like what shape should the head be? Because I'm then going to be able to know where to put the chin.
Okay, kind of really like long and kind of big like mine.
Long and big, like more like an oval?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start at the top here, and I'll come down like this, and I'll go back up, and we gotta. Okay, I think it's decent. I mean, mine's a little bit kind of lumpier on the side, so
Oh,
sorry about that.
it's pretty accurate, man.
But and you said a chin, so this is kind of the chin area. I'll just kind of give it a little bit of a chin like that. Does that look good?
There you go.
All right. What else do I need for a face?
Well, you need two eyes.
Two eyes. All right. Can you do me a favor? Let me look at your eyes. I'm gonna try and kind of get your eyes just a little bit here. I'm gonna do two little dots. Okay, so those are the little pupils of your eye. Those are not very good though. We probably want to make those a little bit bigger. But your eyes are kind of more like a long oval side to side. So I'm gonna try that. We'll go like this. Okay. There we go. That's it. I mean, there. It looks nothing like you. We're not drawing you, I guess. We're not. Okay, so I have the eyes. I have a chin. What else do I need?
Well, your nose, the mouth.
Oh, nose. Okay, I can do like a circle nose. I could do a square nose. I could do a triangle nose. What shape should the nose be?
Still like a long triangle.
A long triangle. Okay, and I'm going to tell you something that I learned when I started drawing these pictures. I have a friend who used to be a Pixar artist. He's done like Simpsons and all that kind of stuff. And when I started drawing, I was told, do not draw the entire triangle because then it looks like a jack-o'-lantern. So I'll draw a triangle like this, and then we'll just kind of come in like that. Does that look good?
Perfect.
All right, so it's kind of it's triangle-like, but it leaves room for it to look like a nose. What else do I need?
Mouth and a goatee.
A mouth and a goatee.
Yeah.
A mouth and a goatee. Okay, so if I'm going to do a goatee, let's see here. I'm going to do a mouth like this, straight across. Should it be a happy mouth, sad mouth?
That,
Or just like this?
Just like that.
Just like that. Okay, and then a goatee. Let me see here. I'm going to we'll put a little goatee down here. We'll put a little on the chin. And then maybe we'll do a little... And we'll put a little down the side. Okay. I mean, it's not that great. But if you start to use your imagination, you would start to see all of this, like the details and stuff you don't really need to worry about. What's the matter?
His eyes are moving. It's tripping me out.
Is it from the glare? Is there a glare problem?
No, his eyes are moving back and forth.
Dave, I love your imagination. I love your enthusiasm here, but I don't think the eyes are going to be moving. It's just a picture. So, and this is the kind of stuff that I do in person, right? But I've also done this a lot online where I get to perform with people and they get these things in their imagination. They just see this stuff happening. I know. Well, that's weird. Dave, can you say hello?
It kind of even sounds like me a little bit.
This is not you, Dave, but Dave, I think this is someone that we could say hello to. This is Art. This is Art, my picture. I'm very creative with the names. Yeah, really creative. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that I do. This right here is what I posted on TikTok. TikTok. Yeah. Okay. This is just silliness, right? Uh-huh. And we can't obviously when I'm on the TikTok stuff interact with people, but here we can interact. You could ask Art some questions. Do you have a question for Art?
Art, I'm going to ask you a question that I usually save for the end of my shows as comic relief.
Okay.
Kind of my icebreaker question I ask at the end of my shows. But Art, if if you're in a 100-meter pigeon carrying contest, how many pigeons do you think you could carry and have in your arms at the end of that race?
None.
No.
None? That's right. Art, why would you say none? Zero? That's right. Art, why? Why zero? I have no hands. There's no hands. Okay, Art, that that would be a good reason. Art, I have a question for you. What? Art, how many views did we get on that video that we posted that we did not expect anything from? 1 million, a million. Well, actually, it's almost almost 2 million. This is the really weird thing. We did not set out when we put that up. When I put that, when I put that up on TikTok, I had been only doing TikTok for about a month. And I had been doing Instagram and Facebook videos for a while, and I had YouTube videos. And I had just done a show, and I put that up. It was a 40-second clip, and I never intended for views. I never intended for followers. The reason why I post videos is really just to have like a catalog for people to see. If someone finds me, they can go, oh, this is what the guy's like, and then goes from there. And that one video on TikTok exploded, and it went over 1 million. And then on Instagram, it's over, I think it's almost at 700,000. On YouTube, it's like 20,000. And so it's almost been viewed by 2 million people. And
Wow.
I never expected that. That was just gravy.
That's the funny thing about online. You never know. I'm always terrified for things to go viral. Um,
Well,
if I,
I will say it's a weird place. It's a weird thing to have happen.
5 years ago, I posted a picture of me and my daughter when I was almost 400 pounds, next to a picture of us working out when I dropped 170 pounds.
That's
And
amazing.
Arnold Schwarzenegger reposted it, and that thing had 9 million views in 4 days. And I had
Oh
to.
my gosh.
This is at the time I was still having like anxiety attacks, and if trolls or anything about would trigger me, so I ended up freaking out and deleting it because it was just, I couldn't handle it. But
Wow.
now looking back on it, if I hadn't done that, I'd be getting paid by the Elon guy. But I'm like, oh, why did I delete that? It was like 9 million views in 4 days. So you
Yeah.
never know what can happen with stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's actually really fun to kind of watch the comments on this. Like I I was a little freaked out when I first started seeing this because I was like, I'm not prepared for this. I wasn't ready. I mean, I have friends who like really have been thoughtful about trying to get their views and their followers up, and it's a full-time job. And I was like, well, I'm just going to enjoy the ride. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to try and use this as a catalyst. So now I'm trying to plan out a few things for the future. And watching the comments on that one video, people were like, oh, most of it was extremely positive, really positive. And I was like feeling really good. And then some people will be like, oh, well, clearly this is what's happening, right? And they would be like, it's a fake hand. His hand holding that is a fake hand. And so I will tell you, this is not, this is a real hand over here, right? I have to hold it. Like I can't let go of the board because then it would fall to the ground. And it's just like the natural place that your fingers are. Like I have to, so it's like, oh, like in the future, I would make it so it was a little bit more obvious that my hand is a real hand on there. And then people will watch just one of the videos and they won't realize that there's more, and they'll be like, oh, well, that's an interesting iPad, right? I'm like, it's not an iPad. I drew the picture,
Yeah.
and the picture will change for every person in every audience. So like you put a goatee on it, and then people are like, well, yeah, but you can't erase it, right? And then I would say, no, I could totally erase it. Hey, don't do that. I can't see. Hey. And then you just like, people don't realize that there's actually more to that 40-second clip that I was doing. And so that to me was like a real important lesson that there are things that make a difference when you put something out there. Like if you put a 40-second clip and there's more to it, you got to put the rest up. So I have like part 1, 2, 3, and 4, and some of those platforms it's like 2-3 minutes max, right?
Yeah.
And like the routine's longer than that. And so like I have to like cut it up into things, and then people are upset on one platform. They're like, well, you can put more than 3 minutes. Why don't you just put the whole thing up here? And I'm like, well, because I was doing this. And each thing is different. Each platform is different. Each, part of that universe of social media things is very different. And I did not quite realize how different those things are. And so learning that, I was lucky, and I understand your hesitation, right? Pulling that picture down, because you're doing something to make yourself feel better, but then there could be a troll out there who makes it feel a lot worse. And it's like, oh, well, what if someone starts attacking your video, attacking your picture, and saying horrible things? Like that to me is like a new world to be in of like what how do you handle if you put something up there that's a little less whatever, that people are going to be potentially mean about it. I've been lucky so far
Hmm.
that the videos that I've posted, the things that I do, haven't gotten that much negative stuff. The most negative that I've had was, oh, I think you have a fake hand, you know? Um, and so I started coming up with like, why am I doing this? Like why post videos? Why throw them out there? And for me, it comes down to a couple of answers. I want people to think and wonder. Like that's my number one thing with my magic. I don't do it to be like, ha ha ha, I know something you do and that you don't and I do. I do it because I want people to actually think about stuff because I don't think we have a very, at least at least below you in the United States, I don't think we think critically very much. I think people need to have more opportunities to think critically. Um, and on social media, I think that's super important when people see something, they have to think a little bit more about it. Is this true? Is this something that makes sense? And magic obviously doesn't make sense. So I'm forcing people to think about things, right? Like they see it like I'm telling you, people, I'm a magician. I don't have magic powers, right? I don't have the ability to do the supernatural. I am doing something that looks impossible, but it's possible. And I want you to think about how that happens. So in my live shows, that's what I tell the kids in the beginning. Like, my job is to make you think and wonder. Your job is to make it magic. And you do that with your imagination. And I actually use this right here as one of the ways to get people into that mode. Like I say, okay, we're going to think about something, we're going to make a picture, and you're going to use your imagination. And if you use your imagination, this will happen.
Hmm.
And then the other part is I really just want to like make people have an escape, right? Like just a moment of not being in reality. And I think those moments are really important as well, right? Like people are going to be like, "Oh, I'm having fun." And so like putting stuff on the internet, doing things like this, like, "Oh, I want to of course I want to raise awareness of what I do." Right? Like I want people to see me. But like my goal is not to become, internet famous and have millions of views all the time and have millions of followers. That would not be a bad thing. But I figured if I do stuff to have fun and I'm doing stuff that is about sharing and making people's day better, the negative comments are probably going to be a lot less. And if they do happen, I'm going to address them in a way that's like, oh, well, you don't know me. I don't know you. I don't know what your day's like. I don't know why you're lashing out, but I will make a comment that is supportive. And if I have to, I can always delete the stuff, right? In most platforms, the creator has the ability to hide things or push it aside. And like, yeah, I might hurt my feelings for a little bit, but I know that that person, might be in a different place. And the in the last couple of years, like the last year or so, I've been actually going to therapy myself and like having just a person to talk to. And that has been one of those things that has been a huge like eye opener of like, you don't know what the other person's like, unless you really know them, you don't know what they're going through. If someone says something mean to you, you have no clue. And it's been hard for me, but I've been practicing empathy. Like, oh, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you just cut me off and I have no clue why you cut me off in the road. Like, you could be having the worst day, and I'm going to give you that. Unless I get more information, I'm going to give you, you're having a bad day, and I'm just going to have to back off and go, hey, I have no clue what you're dealing with. So, like, that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. Like, I've been enjoying a nice little positive boost, and I'm sure I'll see a lot of things in the future where there'll be like people being negative for whatever reason, and I'll just have to let that be.
So you know what? Just like a personal thing. Um, at first, when I saw those eyes moving, I thought it was me doing my third podcast recording of the day. I'm like, am I going blurry here? Is my screen messing up? But that was pretty trippy. But I mean, this morning I spent an hour with a mom who's been by her son's bed for 9 years, bedridden after a fentanyl overdose, and I come on and have this chat with you and do these fun this two little bits, and it's like gone. Like
Yeah.
right, it's therapy to me doing these shows. I've talked to Oh my goodness, I talked to a veteran walking across the country to raise awareness about PTSD. Um, a lady that survived like 14 plus assaults in a way I just things like so many amazing stories and amazing people, and this was amazing. I can't wait to show this episode to my daughter because she'll be like, all right. But I'm trying to figure out how you did that with the face, and she'll have her theories. But
And that's the great part. She'll have her theories,
yeah,
and I love it when people have theories, and I love it when they share them with me. Like they'll say them privately, like, "Hey, I think I know what's going on." And sometimes people are pretty close, and sometimes people are way off. Like the people who tell me, "Oh, that's cool. It's an iPad," and I'm like, "No, it's not an iPad. It's a whiteboard. It's like legitimately a whiteboard. You can see me. I wrote on it. I drew what you wanted to draw, right?" So. Um, but yeah, magic. I've been very lucky between the hospital visits, just in general, like my show with connections to people. I had an opportunity to do a pretty heavy show. I mean, I had the opportunity to be a pretty heavy show, but it wound up being just such a great experience where there was a kid who had been paralyzed because he was caught in the um, crossfire of a shooting on the highway, and he got a bullet in his spine.
uh,
And I went and I did it was his birthday. He had a nice little party, mostly family, and I just did magic for them and had a fun time. Like my job is to go in most of the time and break reality, have fun, make people happy, and give them something to talk about. And
yeah.
it's sometimes a pretty like steep, like, oh wow, I have a that's a pretty big job. But overall, it's like, if I can go in and just have fun, and yeah, there might be something crazy that's happening in a person's life, but like that's the thing they're trying to escape for a little while. So for me to focus on that would be the wrong thing. My job is
No,
to focus
every
on,
every Sunday on TikTok from 5 o'clock till 7 Eastern. So, but I do an open mic mental health. People can come up and sing. People have come up and just read poetry, and people we just talk. It's a lot of men come in there. It's kind of like a men's mental health thing, but
oh,
there's
that's cool.
women. But the thing I love about it, and what's hit me the most, we've done 15 so far, every Sunday. There was a woman who was very camera shy. So when she'd come up and sing, she'd turn her camera off. And then week two, she'd come up to sing, she'd have her camera on for talking, and then turned her camera off when she was singing. So then by week five, she had her camera on for talking and the whole song. And then a couple weeks ago, she's now the music director at her church in front of 200 people.
That's awesome.
So to me, like if 10 people show up in this live, but something like that happens, that's the real shit, right? And that's I'd love to have you if you're up, if you have a Sunday off, come in with that chart and I'll prank someone in there. It's like one of my right, we'll get you up on a screen with that thing and we'll really mess with people, and then I'll do a clip of it and
Yeah,
see what
let's keep
happens.
in touch. I know that my Sundays are pretty full for a little while, but there might be something we can make happen. If you're still doing it in a little while, I could probably do that. That would be fun.
For sure. That would be awesome. So I'll put all your links in the description, your TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, your website, and people want to reach out
Yeah,
and
I mean,
join
it's
your
pretty easy, like for people to find me at Brian Scott Magic, and that's Brian with an I, Scott with two T's. What I do is magic. So if you put an at in front of all that, you can find me on most platforms. Most, I don't know about all because I don't know all of them, you know. And then, just my name, Brian Scott Magic.com is an easy way to find me through my website too. So I appreciate that. That's really great.
Now I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Art. At the end of my shows, I do that because I've had some heavy chats. I don't do them everyone. If someone's, if there's a few, I've skipped it with people that have like, a mental disability or something. I don't want to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
them the pigeon question, but this came from I got to go to a hockey game with Brett the Hitman Hart. It was on my bucket list after I almost died. It was the last thing.
Wow.
And I put it out on Twitter and the radio station made it happen. So I get to go watch a hockey game with my childhood hero.
That's awesome.
So I said to him, I said, I bet I can ask you a question you've never been asked in your 10,000 plus interviews. He's like, you're on. I'll buy you dinner. So I ask him that pigeon question. He's like silent for 30 seconds. He's like, shit, I don't know, two. So then I just throw it in at the end of almost every episode, and it's just kind of like laugh and icebreaker at the end. So,
All right.
how many pigeons do you think you could carry 100 meters in a 100-meter pigeon carrying contest?
I would have to say that I would start off with probably 10. But at the end of the 100 meters, I would be lucky if I had 3.
Very, very fair. Very fair. The,
I'm just thinking like I you got to be able to hold 2 easily. And then the rest you can try and like but by the time you are finished, they're all going to be fluttering around and you might be able to keep those 2. But I'll be also honest, like I have chickens and those are hard things to hold on to if they want to get away. So I'm like thinking like they're going to be flapping me in the face. I'm going to get it in the eye. So I may not even be able to hold on to 1.
well, if you're curious, the highest answer was 15. It was a little 4 foot nothing lady from Colombia who said she would put double-sided duct tape on all of her clothes and just go like she thought about this question hard. But funny thing
That's
is, my
impressive.
pigeon question is how I find out who's really watching my episodes because I've had some friends and family be like, "Oh man, this was a great episode," and I'm like, "Oh, what'd you think of the question at the end?" They're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Ah, go back."
Like you didn't watch the whole thing. Like yeah, I'll be honest, like I spot watched a whole bunch of your stuff. I don't think I ever got to the actual end to hear the question of the pigeons. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to what other people say now.
Well, no, one of my friends, Dan, he's he's got cerebral palsy. He's been in a wheelchair his whole life. He had watched every episode and he knew the question was coming. So he's like, because we have a little circle of friends, a karaoke crew we used to go to, and his answer was, "I don't know. I've been carrying you pigeons for years." So
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. And I have to say, this is a great podcast that you're doing, right? Like, you're talking about mental health, you're talking about just like, but you're talking about it in a way that's like, hey, we're talking about it. And I think everyone deals with it in some way. Most people don't even realize they're dealing with it, right? Like with a mental health issue or just mental health in general. Like some people have great mental health, but they're dealing with it. They're doing stuff with it. And just talking about it, I think takes any of the negative connotations away from it and makes it a normal thing. So the more that you're doing this, whether or not you have, a lot of viewers or a few viewers, I think whatever the viewership is, as long as one person hears that it's a good thing to talk about and that it can be a healthy thing, you're doing awesome stuff.
beautiful. I had a wrestler on. He's training with Seth Rollins and he's recovering from PTSD. And he told me, like I thought I was doing okay, right? 99% good days, 1% bad days. But one thing he said, people with PTSD or that have been through trauma, they have trouble looking people in the eyes. Like your head's always down. And I didn't realize it that when I was going into like a coffee shop or a grocery store, my head would always be down. I never make exact eye contact with people. So since I've had that dude on, I've started doing that, and it's a whole different world. Like so I'm learning so much from this. It's therapy for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. No,
today
it's
I got
amazing
drawn, and
what you yeah. You became art today. You became art today.
that's going to be a screenshot and yeah, a clip for the promo for this. That's for sure.
That is awesome. Yeah. But no, this is great stuff that you're doing, really.
Well, I appreciate you coming on with me, and like I
Yeah.
said, everyone that's watching, check out the all Brian's links in the description, and check out my lives. I'll let you know when he's going to be coming. Some Sunday down the road, we'll do some stuff
Yeah,
on
we'll
there.
try and
That'll
figure
be
something
awesome.
out. Awesome. All
Awesome.
right.
You have a great day, and
You too.
everyone be sure to like, subscribe, all that cool stuff my 10-year-old says to say. And if you're out there struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help, and believe in magic. Powerful.